We are back for episode 47 of Canes Local, your local Canes podcast. And we have a bunch that we kind of want to get to. First of all, we're going to talk about Carolina's back-to-back with New Jersey. Home team seems to won every game in that series, so we're done playing New Jersey for the rest of the year. We will talk on that, talk on a couple of the hits that happened in the last game of that series. Going to talk about the winning goaltender last night, Dustin Tokarski, who I felt like made a great showing for the Hurricanes. And then some of our top guys finally have stepped up, notably Jarvis with 3 assists in the last game. And then we're going to take a look at what Carolina possibly needs heading into the deadline break, as we have the Four Nations coming up and we also have deadline right after that. So it's going to be a quick turnaround. It's going to come up on us fast, so I feel like moves are going to happen before the trade deadline this year. What could we see? What does Carolina need, if they do need anything? We'll take a look around the NHL, and then we will look ahead to next week. But we're going to jump right into it. Carolina heads to New Jersey, loses 4-2 to the Devils. Really not a well put together game by Carolina. I felt like defensively we were extremely lackluster. Gave up way too many grade A scoring chances. And I felt like Kochetkov didn't play nearly to the level that he could have played at. Granted, again, I think I went back and looked at the stats. Out of their 23 shots, anybody have any guesses how many were grade A scoring chances?
10.
Yeah, I would say like 10 or 12.
11.
Yeah.
They had 11. So basically half of their shots were considered grade A scoring chances. So, to give up 4 on 11 grade A's, can you blame Kochetkov? Granted, there's still some disparity in that. I feel like that fourth goal, especially where he just kicks it right to the guy, and a little bit better rebound control there maybe would help. But I'm going to pass it over to you guys. I want to focus just on the Friday night game in the Prue, and then we will switch over to do the Carolina, the game at Lenovo Center.
Yeah, I think I went back and I rewatched the Friday night game, and I just think I don't think we had a bad game overall. I think the team overall played pretty well. We were just not better than they were. And I think, and when you equate the team for team, like for like play, it basically comes down to breakdowns and goaltending. And I think they got, I'm going to say this cautiously, they got the better goaltending.
100%. No, they got the better goaltending.
And I think that was pure, pretty obvious. And, and it goes back to what I get the 11 grade A's, but the kid's got to make at least 1 or 2 of those. He's got to get 1 or 2 of those. So
he made 6 of them.
No, I get it. But I'm saying he's got to get 1 more. He's got to win that battle.
Yep.
And he didn't do it. So, again, we're going to give him a lot of rope because he's young and he's still learning and he's developing. But I thought, to your point, I thought Tokarski came in last night and played absolutely exceptional.
Hold on. Let's keep it at the first game, Friday night game. The one note I do want to keep from that point, Carolina also had 9 grade A scoring chances in that game. So you do look at the two goaltenders. Markstrom got the better end of that deal. Carolina did pepper them with shots as well too. So at some point, sometimes the surplus, we can end up scoring a couple goals off of that. But Cam, I want to ask you this question: is it a situation where it's more on Kochetkov or it's more on the defensive play? Because I feel like at a certain point, we do have to look at the defensive play. We've struggled all year and nothing's really changed in that regard. And I feel like we didn't have any back pressure. We didn't have any real kind of layers to our defense. I felt like once they broke down that first kind of initial pinch, the guys were off to the races and they were generating 2-on-1s, 3-on-2s, left, right, and center. So I want to pass it over to you. What are you seeing from kind of the neutral zone defensive play by Carolina?
Well, I mean, the Friday night game, it wasn't good. Not as good as it needs to be. So not as good as the Saturday night game, but for Friday, I mean, yeah, they're giving up those chances, but I mean, that's what the Canes give up. Like, they just give up those chances because of how much they pressure. One good pass from any team in the D zone, that's a stretch pass. I mean, that's 2-on-1 breakaway, So at the end of the day, nothing really changed with how many grade A's the Canes gave up. It's just, Kochetkov lost the goalie battle. That's really all it comes down to. Like, I don't think the Canes gave up less or more grade A's than they normally do. I mean, the Saturday night game might have been a little bit different, but I think overall they generally give up between 8 and 10 on any given night of grade A's, generally. So, and this is, and for me too, like, and I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer, but this is the last year I'm going to call Kochetkov young and up and coming and what this is his second full season of basically being the starter. He's got to play better. He just has to more consistently throughout the season. Next year he's going to be 26, 27 years old.
25, yeah.
I mean, like, he's 25 right now.
No, he's
So,
24 right now.
well, it says I just looked. It said he's 25.
Oh, he just turned
But
25 then.
yeah, so again, he's got to be better.
Yeah.
Like, he just has to be better. Like, this is basically should be the prime of his career coming up for the next probably 5 or 6 years. He needs to show it. He needs to be better. He just has to. And I'm not saying that, it's all the fault on him. It's not. I mean, the Canes played horrible. Like, they didn't play great in the D zone at all. They played horrible in the D zone. I mean, they got their chances and they just didn't capitalize because, Markstrom played better. But yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, he's got to play better. He just has to more consistently better.
Yeah.
He has these blips where, against like the Rangers, I mean, he stood on his head, but he needs to play even 90% of that in most games, and the Canes would have a good chance. So,
Well, I think what he struggles with too, and maybe you guys don't see the same thing I do, but he still struggles to recognize that the team in front of him is struggling. I think he doesn't necessarily see that all the time, and you can because you can see it when it's almost like when the team's playing bad, he doesn't play very well. When the team's playing good in front of him, he plays well. Because I mean the Rangers game was a perfect example of that. He made some great saves in the Rangers game, but I think that's where he's got to get out of his own head, and he's got to be like, this is my game, this is my net. I don't give a shit what everybody's doing in front of me. He's like, I got to make sure that I do my job and keep the puck out of the net, regardless of how everybody else is playing. Because I think he's sort of ebbs and flows with the team. And maybe I'm the minority here, but that's the way I see it when his game. If you look at it historically, he just seemed to take on the identity of the team in front of him.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think the biggest difference is when you play a team like, I don't know, Chicago, or you play a team that doesn't have as many scoring threats as New Jersey does, and you give up 10 grade A scoring chances, Kochetkov's probably going to make 9 of those. But against a team like New Jersey, you look at Florida. Look at what Florida does. They don't give up any grade A's, and they generate a ton. And the reason that they do that is because they know how to play within a defensive structure, and it's not over the top crazy. I do agree with you, Dad. I think that Kochetkov could be better. He needs to be more consistent, 100%. I agree. He needs to be at like 90%, 100% of the time. And some games he can get up to that. Not everybody's going to be perfect, and there's going to be games where he drops just below that 90, but it can't be every other game. You got to be able to string together 10 straight games where you're just lights out of this world. Then you can have a 1 down game, and then you got to put together 7 more, and then a down game, and then 8 more, and then a down. Like, it's got to be a more consistent basis. And the other thing too is I'm not basing this just off of like, how many goals did you give up? What are your numbers? Because Carolina can go into some games and they give up, out of the 15 shots, I think we played Pittsburgh one game and we lost, and they had like 15 shots on goal. But out of those 15 shots, there was like 8 or 9 grade A scoring chances. And it's like, I don't base it off of the stats. I base it off of, did he steal, over half of those scoring chances? Did he steal? If you can get to the 75% marker, that's a great number to be at. If you can steal 75% of the grade A scoring chances, great. Like, you're doing your job and you're doing it correctly. The elite goalies in the league can go up to that 89. Look at Shesterkin. I mean, 80, 90%, not against Tampa last night, but in most games where he's stealing games for the Rangers, and he's the only reason that they're any good. And we need Kochetkov to get to that level. I think he has it in him. It's just, man, I feel it keeps happening where it's like, okay, he has a lights out game and then he falls, and then he has a lights out game and then he falls, and it's hard to see. But
Yeah, no, agreed.
we will move right along to the positive notes, and we're gonna head to the Carolina win last night, 5-2 against the Devils as well too. Crazy back-to-back game. I really like this because it created such a good game last night. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure you guys probably got to watch at least parts of it, if not the entire thing. Did you guys both watch the entire thing last night?
Oh yeah, no, I was there.
Oh,
I think I
yeah,
watched.
were you both
I think
there?
I watched it all.
No, Cam wasn't able to go, but I was there, and it was one of those games. It was really strange. It was, the place went bananas when they had that short-handed opportunity when, I don't remember. I think it was Heischer went down. They went down 3-on-1, and Necas was the defender. I mean,
thought it was a
talk about a
skate.
perfect storm of catastrophe there. But he ended up saving the goal.
Yeah.
By just laying his body out in the crease, and it just deflected off him. And, that would have been a game-changing moment. And the place went absolutely bananas when that happened. And I looked at your mom and I was like, I said, that didn't need to happen. We made a bad decision at the blue line. We made a bad decision, on the wall, and then it was a 3-on-1 the other way. And New Jersey's a team that pressures on their penalty kill, and you can't do that. And, and I don't know if it was, we had, Ty Smith came into the lineup, and he played that upper top of the umbrella in place of Gostisbehere. He had a good game. I thought he had a really good game. But he and Aho got all crossed up there on the half wall, and then off to the races they went. But it was like a playoff game last night. It was absolutely, the first period and a half was, I thought, kind of boring. But then after that, ooh, man, it ratcheted up quickly.
That third was crazy.
It was nuts. And I was sitting, it's funny, I was sitting there, Kyle. One more thing. Sorry.
Yeah.
I know I'm rambling a little bit here, but I'm like sitting there. I was like, you know what? I said to myself, it was like 2-1 them or something. And then I was like, man, I don't know if we're going to keep that 4-2 streak, 4-2 score streak alive. But then all of a sudden, it just like the wheels came off, and I'm like, holy shit, what's happening? But it was awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome environment.
The one thing I want to know, and I'm glad you pointed it out, Cam, I kind of want to get your thoughts on this. This is a prime example of when the big guys are buying into the system. That Marty Necas, yeah, we made a bad play, but guess who sold out their body, and that puck could have gone straight off his face. Like it could have hit him in a bad spot. Like he laid out for that. But look at the rest of the game that he played. I thought he looked like himself again. It was like it was, yeah, he still had a couple plays where I'm like, okay, settle down, play a little bit more simple. But outside of that, like I felt like he got some momentum based off of the fact of like he was playing well defensively. And look at the rest of the lineup. I mean, Aho, I thought, had a great game. Jarvis, I thought, had a great game. And they were playing well in the defensive zone. And that's where I feel like sometimes they get lost. They're too focused on generating offense. It's like offense will come from playing good defensive hockey. And I think that was the biggest adjustment from Friday night into Saturday. Yeah, we got the line combinations, or whatever it's called, the
line matchup.
Matchup that
line
we
change.
got. Yeah, that we wanted. But our big guys played a exceptional game, kind of top to bottom. Maybe Svech had a little bit of an off night, but outside of him, I thought everybody really was pulling the rope in the same direction for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think I had said this probably a month ago, but right around the time when they were kind of skidding in towards Thanksgiving. But I mean, Necas plays better when everybody else plays better. Like when the team plays better, Necas plays better. Necas is not a guy that's going to drag a team into a game and steal a game. He's just not going to do it. I mean, I haven't seen him do it. If he has, okay, cool, he's done it once. Like, he's not like a guy that's going to consistently just drag you into a game. But when everybody else is playing and going, then he's going too. He feeds off of that energy. So that's why it's very crucial for the Canes to be playing the way they played last night consistently, so that Necas can get back to, throwing crazy passes across, the seam to somebody that's, you didn't even think the pass was there, and it's all of a sudden it's in the back of the net kind of thing. So that's, I mean, his game is very, dependent on the team around him.
Mhm.
The team has to be playing well, or else he's kind of gonna kind of fall back into the shadow a little bit and just kind of not really do a whole lot. So, but yeah, I mean, I think they played well. They played a full 60 last night, which they haven't done in a long time. I mean, it's probably been since October that they put a full 60 together. So, I mean, that's what they needed. And it's against arguably the best team in the East. I
Yep.
mean, realistically, other than Florida, I mean, who else? Maybe Toronto, maybe. And obviously the Lightning cleaned up the the Rangers last
I was
night.
gonna
So
say
maybe
Lightning
they're
have
in
been
that
playing pretty good
conversation
hockey
too, but
lately. I'll give it to them.
yeah, and then the Caps as well. But I really do think the Devils are probably the
Yeah.
best team in the East right now. I mean, I think they can go toe to toe with anybody.
I think
So
they're the deepest in the East.
they are. They're definitely the deepest for sure. They don't really have any. They don't have any gaps that I can see. I mean, they're big and heavy on the back end. Like all their D men are like over 6'3". I think they're huge.
I think
all of them.
except for Luke Hughes. I think he's only 6'1".
Yeah, but he's
Yeah.
fast enough that he doesn't have
Yeah,
to be
he's
that
fast
big.
enough.
I was just making the point. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like, Ty Smith did play well. I don't know, man. I know they like to develop their players, but I think you put Scott Morrow into that lineup, put him running the power play. Man, I'm telling you, like you've watched some of the highlights from like the AHL. I mean, he had a freaking hat trick like a month ago in the AHL. Like, and I'm not saying that the A is kind of so much less than the NHL, but whenever you go, like when anybody goes to an AHL game, the NHL guys stand out.
Yeah.
And it's very obvious that they stand out. Scott Morrow is one of those guys. They know he's going to come up. I don't know if it's going to be next year or the year after.
I think it's next year.
I really hope they don't just keep him down there just for, development kind of thing, that they actually give him a chance and bring him up for, 10 games. So I assume next year he'll probably be in the Ty Smith role where he'll be the first call up from the A. I do think he plays in the A next year. I don't think he should, but I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think the thing with Ty Smith though is that he's more Gostisbehere like than anybody else that we got in our system. So
I don't know. You've seen Morrow move around.
No. I know that. I know that. But what I'm saying
He's
from
big, he can move.
I get it. I do. I get it. But I don't necessarily know that he's exactly. Maybe they thought he has a little bit more experience.
That's why they pulled him.
So that's why they pulled him up. I mean,
he's a left shot.
Yeah.
Rod,
Yeah.
as much as you guys want to say
Yeah.
Rod doesn't care, Rod cares about having a left-handed and a right-handed shot on a deep
Yeah.
area.
Yeah.
He's a left shot. We're missing a left shot. I promise you, and I don't want anybody to go down, but like anybody on their right side goes down, Morrow's the one that probably gets called up. That's the only reason why Ty Smith got the call.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. No. I mean, you're probably 100% right. But I think he reminded me more of Gostisbehere than Morrow did. The way he moves the puck, way he moves and carries his play.
No.
So I thought he looked really good. And I thought he and Walker looked good together too. I think, the one thing I noticed about last night is that, and maybe you guys have seen it or not, but man, I tell you, we have not gotten to our forecheck. It seems like forever. We dumped a puck and then it's like one man, I'll call it one man half pressure. It's like crazy. And you started to see it a little bit more last night. And I thought the guy that turned the page for us, quite honestly, and maybe you have a different opinion, but I thought Kochetkov on the forecheck, he was on the puck hard every single shift, the whole game. And you could see the guys were feeding off it. His line, I thought, played really well. And I thought he was by far for me the best pressure creating forward that we had last night. He didn't get the points. He got a critical point on the power play, but I think he was one of our better forechecking forwards last night. And on the back end, I don't know if you guys agree or not, but Jacob Slavin had one of his best games all year. I thought he was exceptional. When I watched every single play, he was the reason that they didn't get as many grade A's in the D zone this game than they did last. I thought he played exceptionally well.
Yeah. One other guy I do just want to, Sean Walker also had a crazy good game last night as well. I think he's finally coming into his own as a Carolina Hurricane. I thought Dmitry Orlov had a really good game as well too. But one question I do just want to pose to you guys real quick, and then we're gonna move off the topic. But do you put that first goal on Kotkaniemi, or is that more of a Burns
It's both
error?
of them.
I think both.
It's both.
Yeah.
Burns
think-
shouldn't make the pass, and Kotkaniemi needs
Exactly.
to realize.
Exactly.
Kotkaniemi needs to realize, oh, that's a bad pass. I need to whack it. Like, I need to, if I ice it, I ice it.
Yeah.
But you need to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Like, you know it's a bad pass. If I'm in his shoes, I'm like, oh my God, that's a horrible pass. And I'm whacking it as hard as I can in any direction.
Yeah.
I don't care if it hits, the coach in the face. Like, I'm whacking it as hard as I can because I don't want it to go, the other direction. So it's both. Burns shouldn't have made the pass. Kotkaniemi needs to do a better job of just getting rid of it.
It's almost
just
like
ice it, rag it, take a penalty. It doesn't matter.
It's
like,
almost
just do something.
It's almost like in that situation, Kotkaniemi just lets the puck go and just almost takes the man. Just like you see the passes going to your feet, and you're
Yeah,
really not going to
maybe.
get a good handle on it. If you just turn around, take the guy's stick, and just allow the puck to keep going, I mean,
Or fall on it.
yeah, or that, yeah, just lay down,
Just literally just drop to your knees and fall on it. Like, I don't. Just until you can get guys to back pressure. Like,
Yeah.
if it's that far in your feet to where you can't whack it, just you might eat a couple sticks to the face, but you might just lay on it. Honestly.
It's not the worst idea I've ever heard.
But yeah, and again, the only reason that Kotkaniemi didn't get demoted to the fourth line after that play was because it's Ty Jost and not Drury. That's the only reason.
Well, and
100%,
I think
if Drury's in the lineup, Drury and Kotkaniemi get flipped, and I don't know if Kotkaniemi has an impact on the rest of the game. So
yeah, I also, I mean, Ty Jost played second line in the St. Louis game, I'm pretty sure. But anyways, I didn't play amazing.
maybe he did, yeah.
But
I don't know.
or not Nashville. Jesus, not St. Louis, Nashville. It was a week ago.
Okay.
But anyways, what was I had one more point on that, and I completely lost my train of thought. Oh, I think also another big reason, I think Kotkaniemi up to that point was still having a rather good game by his standards. I think he was playing good. I think he was just as Dad said, he was on the forecheck hard. And we didn't have a ton of that even still last night. Outside of the stall line, Kotkaniemi, I think Jarvis had a couple moments, and it's promising to see that he had a couple moments. Aho had a couple. I mean, Aho's kind of mid-zone pressure on that, his eventual goal was because he just was backfilling hard and knocks a puck out of the air, and then all of a sudden Roslovic has the puck. Hey, when we actually have a forecheck and we actually apply pressure in the correct ways, we generate offensive chances. And Aho gets a break because he actually, not that he actually, because he does good a lot of times, but Aho made the right play and he gets a break for it. And that's what he needs. He just needed a break. And I think that's going to generate more offensive chances for Aho because he got one to go for him, and it was a squeaky one. It wasn't a backdoor tap in. It wasn't a great shot. Like it squeaked through. So that's Aho needed one of those to go for him, and now I feel like it's going to generate some good points for him coming forward. But I do want to point out, and Dad, you'd already kind of mentioned it slightly, but the play of Dustin Tokarski last night, that's what Carolina needs out of a backup. That game right there is just an example.
Starter.
That's an example of what we need out of a backup. I mean,
Yeah.
Cam, you could say a starter,
anybody,
but
and a goaltender.
Yeah.
That's what they need. They just need a guy like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, and
he played well though.
He did, and it's funny because when you watch him in warmups, he's one of those guys that he almost struggles with his glove hand. Because when you watch him in warmups, when they shoot, they take the round, kind of roundabout shots and whatever, and it's like he can't. It doesn't seem like he can catch them. They're just sort of bouncing out of his glove. I don't know if he needs a new glove or what it is, but but man, he's a gamer. When he gets into the game, he settles in. He gets a handful of shots on him. He didn't see a ton of shots last night. I think 21 was the last total, or something in that range. But man, he battles down low. And the guys had a much better at keeping stuff to the outside. But I'm telling you, the Devils came in waves, and they came in bunches, and they created a lot of traffic and havoc in front of the net. And I think we did a little better job of that last night in front of Jake Allen. So I think, that for me, he made the saves when he needed to make them. And they weren't all easy saves, that by no stretch. He was making saves through traffic. So got to give the guy props, man. He did what we needed him to do. and but the team did play better in front of him. So he got better run support than Kochetkov did the night before, but at the same time, he still made saves when he needed to make them.
Yeah, felt like, and nothing against Kochetkov, but I felt like he kept them in the game a little bit better than
Mm-hmm.
Kochetkov did, and allowed them to generate, some momentum and generate some pressure. But uh, I just wanted to make sure that we did give him props. Giving, as we're kind of giving out props here, want to give props to Aho, Jarvis finally getting on the board, finally making contributions. Roslovic had a nice night. Orlov scores a goal. It's just positive to see these guys actually getting on the board because we need them to continue. Necas looks like he's getting there. I think, as Cam says, he's going to go with the team. So if Aho and Jarvis are going, Necas is going to start popping off again. That means Fetch is going to go. It's a snowball effect. It all starts with in my opinion, the leader, the true leader of the team, Sebastian Aho. He needs to be the one that's going at full tilt all the time. I feel like we're starting to get that Sebastian Aho. I'll pass it over to you guys. What are you guys seeing out of Aho? / Are you getting the same wave I am that it feels like it's coming, it's building up?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's coming. I still think they're gripping the sticks a little bit tight. I think the passes aren't as crisp as they were early in the season. But for the most part, yeah, no, I think they're making better plays. I still don't like the soft plays out of the D zone. Stretch is still doing it, and Jarvis did it a couple of times last night, and they're making soft plays out to get it outside the blue line, and the Devils are too good. You just can't do that because they'll keep it in a heartbeat, and they did. So, we got lucky in a handful of occasions that those guys early on in the game made soft plays, but I said we're a team of high pressure forecheck, and until we truly get back to that, we're not going to see the true potential from those guys. I don't think until they start buying into doing more of that on a consistent basis. And did it early on, but we also, you know, you know, it's a grind. I'm going to give them a lot of rope here. It's a grind. It's a long season, so they'll figure it out, and they're starting to, and you can see it. Good to see Aho score. I mean, he really needed that. I mean, that monkey on his back was like an 8,000-pound gorilla at this point. And I mean, he was hitting posts. He was just, misfiring on shots. You were bouncing over a stick. I mean, he was just getting nothing. And to see him get one that, really shouldn't have had, but it went in. That's going to be the key to
That's the bread and
unlocking
butter.
his potential. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, I like the way they're doing it.
Yeah, I mean, he's played. He's just needs to continue with it. I mean, it's one game, so we hope they can build off of it. But overall, you know, the big guys needed to step up, and they did. So they all had, multi-point nights, which is good. So, that's just it's one of those where you need your big guys to play in big games. So, and pretty much all of them stepped up. So, yeah, I mean they're playing. They played well last night. They just need to keep this going. I mean, they really need to put like a win streak together. They
Mhm.
need to. They need to really grind out probably 3 or 4 in a row to get that confidence back fully. But yeah,
Yep.
it's a good stepping stone because that was, like you said, that was the first 60 minutes of full on, like, 2022 2023 Canes hockey. Just dump it in, dominate, 40 plus shots on goal and getting a result kind of
Mhm.
thing. So
Yeah, we got more traffic last night too, which I think was
yeah,
important. A lot more traffic in front. I mean,
Look
you
at the
look at
game
you
winner.
You look
game
at
winner.
Blake's
Yeah,
goal. I mean, I don't know how the L Allen was supposed to see it. He just stood there and hoped to hit him
Yeah.
because he couldn't see around the bevy of the humanity that was in front of him. There had to have been 5 or 6 guys in front of him.
Yeah.
yeah,
Like I said, I just feel like it's a positive step in the right direction. So
I
I
agree.
for
just
sure.
want to make sure that we do give those guys props. But do want to kind of look at what if we do need something, what we do need, kind of some trade rumors and stuff like that. So we like all of Carolina's players, not saying it and taking anything away, but we also want to win a cup, and I know that, and I know the fan base wants it, everybody wants it. So what pieces do we need, or what pieces do we feel like we're missing in order to make that happen?
Whew. Um, I think we need a big grindy winger that's like a Matthew Kachuk type player that's going to be nasty. I think we need a little bit more nastiness to our team, to get into the playoffs. And then, I mean, the obvious one, and maybe Cam, this is where you were going, but I think we need something in the goaltending department. I think that for now, those are the two spots that I think defensively we're pretty strong with the depth we have in the American League. I think, I think the guys have played well. But I think a big heavy forward that's going to just, create havoc, a nasty version of Andrei Svechnikov, and a goal scorer. So I think that's the biggest need right now. But who knows where they're going to go? Seems like they're settling in with Tokarski and Kochetkov as the pairing. So we'll see.
I mean, I think they need a center really bad. We need another center that's going to complement Aho. I think going out and getting a guy like Brady Tkachuk is probably.
He's not a center though. He's a winger.
No, I know, but if you put him
yeah,
he's one of those where I feel like he could be a really good centerman. I really do. I feel like he could be, because he's really good defensively responsible. He's done that in Ottawa forever. I mean, he's their captain, and I don't know. I mean, a guy like that would be great, but he's one of those guys that can be a gamer, obviously, like, Matthew for sure. So, and then yeah, a goalie. We need either a 1A or 1B. Like, we need another number one, basically, because again, if this inconsistency thing keeps on with Kochetkov, he's not going to be the guy. So that's where we're at right now. We're kind of like, and it's crazy to think that we're still sitting here, probably 2 years on at this point. Like, he'll get there. We're crossing our fingers and toes and just hoping. Like, all right, you see blips of it. You see little, spots of light, but overall, he just has to be more consistent. So I think going out and getting a guy who's, 28 to 30, that's been in the league a long time, that's been, either like a, 1A or 1B guy, to kind of trade it off with a bunch of guys. That's kind of what they need. So I don't think a John Gibson is a good idea.
Really?
I don't know. I don't love. I mean, he's just kind of like,
maybe
he's
not the
just kind of been
contract.
around. He's not like the contract for one. Yeah, is kind of crazy. But I mean, again, you look at the goalie market, you're gonna have to pay for a top end guy for sure. So, and I just think that the Freddie experiment is over. So that's kind of where I'm at. The Canes need to look, because basically it's after this year they're going to have to do it in either the off season or they do it at the trade deadline this year. That's kind of what it's going to have to be. So
I really think it really boils down to is, do we think we're ready this year with the group that we have, and do we go out there and we bet the farm on bringing in a player that's going to be expensive, or we're going to have to give up prospects, or I guess probably draft picks more of the prospects, but we don't want to give up prospects because we got some really good ones in the system that, are maybe a year or two away. But, I don't know. It really just depends on where we think we are as a group. Can we win with what we have? And if we add one piece to it, does it take us over the top? And I don't know that I know that that's an easy answer to give right now.
I don't think
because
we're one piece away. That's the issue.
I don't think we are.
I
I don't think we are either. So do you give up enough? Do you give up that to get a guy like, and I'll use him for example, just a guy like John Gibson? I mean, heavy contract. Do you give that up?
I don't think you give up a lot for him though.
No, I don't think you'd want to either.
I just don't think I don't think he warrants a lot, to be completely frank with you.
He's getting overpaid.
Well, no, I know that, but you just have to. You have to give up a lot because you have to make room for the contract.
Yes.
So
okay. So if you don't have the cap space, then
they're going to have a lot of cap coming into the off season for sure.
But they don't now. But they'll have to free up cap space to get rid of somebody. So is it worth doing that for a team that you think is maybe two or three pieces away from a cup contending team?
Unless it's a package where we get two pieces back and we give up a couple pieces.
Yeah.
For that.
I mean, it has to be right.
Does Anaheim have a good center that's on the market?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing with you want really a good second line center that's going to be. I mean, you look at New Jersey. Who are their first two centers? They're basically all stars. You know, look at Florida. They're all stars. Like, to win a cup, you have to have two good centers, at least two good, if not three. Your
Sam
fourth line
Bennett, an
center can
all-star?
kind of.
Did he make all-stars last year? I'm not. I'm just being nitpicky. That's
Oh,
all.
okay.
Yeah,
Well,
no,
I
I'm
don't.
just.
I mean, but
He's
Well,
a
he's
great.
an all-star level player.
He's a great
He's
player.
an all-star
Yeah,
level
Sam
player.
Bennett is a difference maker, 100%. I was
For
just
sure,
being a
yeah.
nitpicky.
No, I know but yeah, I mean, you just look at those teams. They just have the depth. You need the depth for sure, and the center position at Carolina has been. I've been ripping my hair out for years about the stupid center position. I mean, we think Jack Drury's going to be the guy at 2C. I don't think he is. I think he's a good center, but I think he's a good third, fourth center.
Yeah.
I don't think Kotkaniemi's a good 2C. I don't think I don't even know who our
Jordan Stahl.
fourth line center is. I guess
We have Jordan Stahl,
Jost?
Drury, Yost, and
Oh yeah,
Kotkaniemi.
Jordan. I
We
always
have
forget
the
about
issue
him.
we have is when we have our full lineup.
We have three fourth or third line centers.
We have three
and we don't
third
have
line
a second
centers.
line.
If you put Kotkaniemi in third line center, that's probably his best position. You put Drury at third line center, probably his best position. You put Jordan Stahl at third line center, probably his best position. 100%. I agree. That's why I'm curious. It's like, okay, if we need a goaltender and we need a center, does a team like Anaheim or another team that possibly could be giving up a goaltender, would it make a sense in like a package deal where we're getting something back? Nashville. Okay, maybe Nashville.
Let's go for Vinny Trocheck and Jonathan Quick. Let's take that as a package deal.
I was gonna ask that question, but the more I thought about it, I don't want Vincent Trocheck at whatever contract we get him at the age of 38. I'm all set.
Yeah. Well, what if they keep some of his contract?
You're not going to keep the years, so I don't care what the number is. I don't want him at 38. I don't think I don't think he plays the full length of that contract. I think he probably has 6 more years. I mean, he signed a 7-year deal with them. He maybe gets to 37, I think, but I don't think he plays his last season. And so you're paying a guy to not do anything he can retire early, or you're just going to keep him on the books to then all of a sudden you're having to eat contract or buy him out or do something like that. I just don't think that contract fills out the entire length of it. I think Trocheck's a good player right now, but I don't want to just do for right now and then have to deal with the repercussions in the long haul, because look at a team like Pittsburgh. They have so much dead cap, and then on top of that, they have no prospects. They have no draft picks. They have an aging team that just can't seem to win anything. They're winning now, which is good to see, but are they a playoff team? Probably even. I don't think they're even a playoff team, to be completely honest. No. Maybe. I mean, if New York doesn't figure out what's going on with their team, they might make the playoffs. But
they're last. The Rangers are last in the Metro right now.
They're last in the East. I'm pretty sure.
Are they last in the East now?
I think they're last in the. I mean, maybe Buffalo, because Buffalo's god awful too. I don't know how they keep being bad. Columbus is doing great.
Their last
right now.
2 games though, Buffalo's beat the brakes off whoever they played. I think they've scored 6 goals in each game.
All right. Well, then if we're going to this conversation, let's just push over. We can kind of discuss trade and around the league as well too, and then we'll wrap up the last 5 with what's coming up on the week. But yeah, Kim, New York is. Oh no, there's 2 teams in the Atlantic that are worse than them. It's Detroit and Buffalo.
Yeah, Detroit's pretty bad too.
Does Detroit have a goalie?
They just had a coaching change, so they brought in McClellan. So I don't know if that makes a difference. I don't think it's a coaching issue, but it's hard. It's hard to say that it's a coaching issue with a lot of teams, just because at the end of the day, they can't go out there, put the skates on, and put the effort in. They can't score the goals. They can't make the saves. They can't. They can give you every tool they have at their disposal, but they can't go out there and force you to want to play to the point where you want to win.
Yeah.
I just think Detroit has a bad roster. I blame Yzerman more than I blame the coach. So, and then Yzerman was getting snippy with reporters, like, this is my plan, it's going to work. Like, it's like, dude, it hasn't worked. Like, you've been here how long?
5 years now and still no playoffs.
You still got your thumb in your ass? Like, what is going on, dude? Like, this guy's such a joke, man. And I feel bad for Detroit, like the fans too, because they have a lot of really good young players. Like Mort Seider is so good, and he's wasted on that team. I think Dylan Larkin is You talk about a second line center.
Yeah.
You go out and get a guy like Dylan Larkin.
That's why I was going to ask
that
who's
might
their
change.
goalie.
That might change the trajectory of the Canes
So-
if they go get a guy like Larkin. Granted, he has a giant contract. I don't think the Canes really want to go after it, but I'm telling you, that would be like, if you want to go get a gamer that can play second line center, I mean, he would be like a glove. I mean, it would be
Yeah.
unbelievable how well he would play.
Yeah.
So,
And he's probably hungry for playoffs. He hasn't been to playoffs since his
he's
rookie
been in the-
season.
yeah, like I mean, guy's going to give you everything he's got every game. That would be a guy I'd be willing to give up a couple of pieces for.
So
I'd be willing to.
that would be a defensive
I'd be willing
prospect.
to ship out a Kochetkov and another prospect, and then maybe a fourth line winger or something.
I'm telling you
know.
right now, it would be a defensive prospect. So,
Mhm. Yeah.
which of the two are you giving up?
Well, that's assuming they want one of the two we're talking about.
Every team in the NHL wants one of the two we're talking about. There's very few teams that are looking at those two guys who are ranked in the top 10 defensive prospects in the NHL.
For me, it would be Necas.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%.
okay.
It'd be Necas.
We would
I
get a
think I
lot
would-
more in return than just Dylan Larkin for Necas. I'm giving you
But
that
I'm
right
just
now.
saying, you look at his age,
Mhm.
he's already, 25? 24, 25?
24, yeah.
So he's already kind of an older guy coming into the league. It's going to take him probably a year or two to adjust.
Oh,
So
he's going to
that's
be NHL
27.
ready.
It's going to take him time to adjust. He'll be about 27 before he's actually doing and putting up the points that he needs to put up. It's not a threat to Carolina for Detroit. Detroit's going to be bad. As long as Yzerman's in charge, Detroit's going to be horrible. So that's how you have to look at it, too. You're not trading him to a Metro team that he's going to cook you 4 games out of the year. If you play him twice on a home and home, yeah, he may get a couple points against you, but he's going to be on a really bad Detroit team that's going to try and rebuild. They're going to do what New York does. They're going to get a couple of pieces in. They're going to have some light. They're going to sell the farm to try and go deep in the playoffs, and then they're going to blow it all up again the next year.
So, Cam, let me ask you a question. What is it about Necas that you think is going to take him a year plus to get ready for the NHL? Because right now he's playing in the KHL, which is the second best league in the world. You look at the past 3 players that have come to the NHL from the KHL at an aging, a little bit older age. It's been Artemi Panarin, who in his rookie season had 100 points. And it's been the guy, Kirill Kaprizov, who came in from Russia at 23 years old. And in his rookie season, I think he had 92 points or something like that. And he was doing that in the KHL. So it's like, I disagree with you in that regard. I don't think it's going to take him any time to adjust. He's on pace to put up 80 points in the KHL, which would be the most points by a defenseman in KHL history. We're talking about the number 1 defensive prospect in the world right now. The second he comes over to the NHL, a lot of analysts are saying he's going to be the next Victor Hedman, like that level defenseman where he is your number 1 and there's not a question. He's taking over Slavin's role. That's what they're talking about. What about that is okay? That's a 1-for-1 swap with Dylan Larkin. I mean, if I'm giving
I'm not
up
saying
him,
it's 1-for-1, but I'm saying, like, if you're looking at both the prospects, I would want Necas, because then you could get more in return. You could get probably 2 forwards for him.
I want Necas on my team.
You could get Larkin, and you could probably get a high-quality winger as well.
But Necas's one of those players that, we might be able to get a couple players that are good now. Necas's one of those players that he's going to be good at 35 years old, and he's going to be a game breaker for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, but you're also
what do you
giving. Are you going to give up a guy like Morrow? That's a Cale Makar type player. I mean, so
Not even close.
I mean, he's taller.
I mean, I don't think. I don't think
we're
it's
talking
as-
Dougie
He has the
Hamilton.
offensive upside.
We're talking Dougie Hamilton. I'm giving Morrow his props. He's going to get 60 points in the NHL. He's not going to get 100.
Mhm.
We have a way better chance of Necas getting 100 points in the NHL than we do of Morrow ever getting 70 points in the NHL.
Well, I guess we don't know how he would translate. Because those other 2 guys were forwards. I think it's easier to translate as a forward than a defenseman. I think the other thing too that you got to look at. I mean, yes, he's got great numbers, and all the pundits are preaching him. But at the same time, who knows what he's going to be like when he lives in the U.S. and if he comes over and he can't matriculate into the environment. The environment he's living at home now, basically at home. He's playing in Russia, and so it's all
Yeah.
comfortable for him. So I think from the standpoint more so than because of his physical play, I think it's going to be the adjustment to living away from Russia is going to be the bigger contributor than actually learning the game, because there's no doubt he's probably the better of the two.
No, he's for sure the better of the two.
But when you try to adjust to a different environment, you guys know as well as I do that it takes time to get comfortable in your own skin living away from a place that you've been at your entire life. So it's I think that's going to be more of an impact than anything. And we'll see, I I think you could give up either one of them to get a guy like Dylan Larkin. But I think, we got to just continue to tell ourselves, are we ready? And does he take us over the top? And do we give up a prospect like that?
I
Or
don't.
what? Either one.
That's the thing is
Either one.
I don't think Dylan Larkin changes the Canes complexion that drastically. I'll put it in the universe. I think that if you really look at it, if we add Dylan Larkin to this lineup right now, are we all of a sudden a Stanley Cup contender? Does he add 40 goals to our campaign? No, maybe 25, 30.
Maybe.
He's gotten 25 and 30 throughout his career. He's more of an assist guy. He's more of a passer. So we're adding another passer into a pass first lineup. So does that really make it that big of a difference? Okay, maybe. But do we, like I said, I struggle to, and this, I guess I'm going against my own term. It's like, I wouldn't give up a defensive prospect out of all of the, I'd be more willing to give up a forward prospect before I'm giving up a defensive prospect, because the two guys that everybody in the NHL wants, I think very highly of. If I'm giving up one of the two, it's going to be Scott Morrow all day long, because I'm not giving up a future Norris winner. Like Morrow's not predicted to be like that level of defenseman where he's going to possibly win Norris trophies and be the best defenseman in the NHL. Nikishin very much is. Like Nikishin is there. Everybody is, and yes, 100%. You have to see how everything translates, but he's playing on NHL ice right now. He's playing in the second best league in the world, and he's lighting it on fire. I mean, you look at Cale Makar's numbers at, UMass Amherst, and you look at Nikishin's numbers in the KHL. KHL's a way better league. Yeah, Nikishin's definitely older, but look at his 18-year-old season. Nikishin had 65 points in the KHL in his 18-year-old season. Like, we're talking about a generational talent. There's nothing in the world that I would trade for McDavid, McKinnon, Cale Makar. Yes, there are guys I would trade for Nikishin.
Yeah.
But there are I'm saying, like, as a rental piece or anything like that, he's the last person on the board for me. If I'm Carolina, he's off limits, basically. There are very few players that are off limits in my organization. He's one of them.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, who knows? I mean, but again, it's we just have to decide if we're willing to go that deep, if we think we can go that deep in the playoffs and become a contender by adding a player.
Well, he actually,
and I don't.
Speaking
of
think that, he might get added at the end of the season, because he is eligible to come over right at the end of the year. If Ska misses or gets out in like the first round ends like the playoffs for them start in like the beginning of March. So if they lose in the first round, he could be over here as early as mid-March.
So is he a lefty or righty?
He's a left shot defenseman.
Okay, so it'd be somebody down the Burns side, or
no, it'd
Gust,
be somebody.
no.
It'd be Slavin, Ghost, or Orlov.
Yep, Orlov. Yeah, that'd be interesting. So. But I still think we need a little bit of punch up front, though.
I don't disagree. I know what Detroit would want, and I'm not willing to give anything up for Dylan Larkin, because
you say that. Who knows?
Maybe they want something completely different. You never know.
Maybe 100%. They don't want anything. Maybe they want a couple of draft picks, and they'll keep 25% of his salary. Who knows, man? You never know. I'm just saying. 100%. Like, obviously, the Yzerman plan hasn't worked, so who knows? I don't know. I think that guy's such a joker. I think he should have stuck with just being the legend that he was and not got into being a GM. Yeah, so that's just me.
That's strong wording, and I like it.
I know. I hate it for Detroit, because I love the pieces that they have. Mm-hmm. Like, I love the young guys that they have. Mm-hmm. Like I had said, like Sider. Like, I just feel bad for a guy like that. Like, he's playing on such a donkey organization. Like, it's so bad. I just feel so bad for those guys and the fans too. I mean, they haven't had a good team in God, what, since like the mid 2000s?
Yeah, I would
Like
say it's got to
Lindstrom and
be
Cronwall and all like they used to have
Zetterberg and all those guys.
they used to have gamers. They used to have guys like that. And yeah, but it is what it is.
All right, one other name I want to pose into this, just because I think it's fun. I do have to see how many. This is a big contract, but I like this player a lot. Jesus, that's a big contract. Never mind. All right, I'm just gonna throw it out there because he would end at 2029, 2030. He would be, he's 30 now, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4.
36.
Yeah,
Maybe like
36 years old.
36, yeah.
But they're struggling right now, and I think we could give up offensive prospects, maybe a roster piece or two. And one player I would kind of pose to Nashville would be maybe even as bad as everybody, and please don't get angry, like a Marty Necas. But for Philip Forsberg, bringing in Philip, because he's a bona fide center. He's a right-hand shot. We need a right-handed center.
Yeah.
Nashville's struggling heavily. He's one of those players. You want to talk about gamer? He's 6'2" or something like that as well. He's a big dude. He's not small by any stretch.
How much is he making?
Right now he's making 8.5.
I'd go get Tage Thompson before I'd get him.
The thing
He's
is I
younger?
think you're gonna have to pay a lot more for Tage Thompson than you are for Philip Forsberg.
Why? Just
Never know
because
that.
he's younger?
Younger, and I think Buffalo thinks a lot higher. Not that they think higher of Tage Thompson, but he is a little bit. You know what? He's actually not that much younger, because he came into he's been in the league for a while. He just didn't have his breakout year till he's 26 years old. So he's got to be what, 29 now?
He's probably 28, yeah. 27, 28.
Well, what's he's making?
He's making around 8 to 9 as well.
He's making 7.
If we're looking at, yeah. Okay. He's making 7. Yeah, I mean, dude, Buffalo's in such disarray.
He's 27 right now. Yeah. You know
That's a
what?
guy.
That's
Talk
that's
about
not a
selling
bad
the
one.
farm. I'd give up a couple of good prospects for Tage Thompson. If you knew that you could take over his contract and like make sure that he was secure for at least like 4 or 5 years, 100%
Well, I mean,
do that.
he just signed that 7-year deal, or that 8-year deal not long ago.
He did.
See, the problem with getting anybody out of Buffalo is Kevin Adams. They think way too highly of their players, and they had 5 or 6, if not 10, trades over the summer that didn't happen because they were unrealistic. So I'd love to have a guy like that because he's big. He's got a lot of size to him, and he covers a lot of space in a short period of time, kind of like like an Eric Stahl kind of player.
Got a huge shot. Yeah,
and
he's
just is he a lefty or a righty?
I think
he's a righty.
Okay, so he fits the right-handed.
I mean, you talk about like
a
second line center, it's him.
Yeah.
But yeah, that the ownership group in Buffalo, and then Kevin Adams, they're not realistic for what they want to trade.
Nope.
I think they're just comfortable being mediocre forever and ever and ever. That's another organization I feel bad for. Like, for the fans, they just stink. They stink, and they're going to stink forever. So, sorry.
I wouldn't mind
a
little package for Tage and Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen.
That would be selling the farm, though. You would have to give up probably 4 or 5 starters that we have on the roster right now.
Really?
And maybe Kochetkov as well. Like, it'd have to be like a one. Dude, if look at some of the trades that Adams basically declined over the summer.
I'm saying in a realistic,
he's such a knucklehead.
In a realistic world, what do you actually think that I think yes, it would probably be a good roster player coming off. Marty Necas, Seth Jarvis, it's Andrei Svechnikov, one of those.
I think it would be Svech, Drury, and probably a draft pick or 2 just for Tage Thompson. And then for the goalie as well, I think it'd probably be a 1-for-1 swap.
Okay.
If they were going to do it.
We're outside of being 6'8", what has Tage Thompson done outside of get 75 points one season?
I mean, he's the only guy getting points on team in Buffalo that's just horrid. They're horrible.
I get it, but are we
They're awful.
giving up
Imagine if he
Svetch,
gets on a good
Drury?
team.
No, we could get. Oh,
Dude, what is okay? Like I like
Svetch has gotten
I do,
70
but what
points.
is he doing, man?
He's gotten 70
honestly.
points. What's the difference?
No. Yeah, but he's gotten 70 points on a Carolina team that's been a cup contender for 10 years.
I get that, but still,
He's not doing it. He did it 1 year. Imagine if Tage has been here for 5 or 6 years. He would get 100 points every season.
Does he?
I'm
Does he
just
get
saying,
100
like,
points?
he
I don't
needs
think
a
he
good
gets 100
team.
points.
He needs a good team. You put him on a good team, it's over. It's all over. That's what, if you want to secure that second line center spot, which is what you need to go deep, you need it. You just do. You gotta give up a lot. You really do. And I don't think Svetch has been the same player since he tore his ACL. He's been a different player, man. He just has. And we're paying him a lot of money to be average. He's our third highest paid player? Second?
I think second.
Come on, man. Like, what are we doing? Like, I like him. I think he's a really good player. But you're telling me you wouldn't take Tage Thompson over Svechnikov right now? Dude, I'd make that trade. If they called up and said 1-for-1, we'll take Svetch, you take Tage, I'd be like, sold. Where do I sign? I don't care. Where do I sign? And I like Svetch. I think he's a really good player, but he's not Tage Thompson.
Yeah.
He's not what the Canes need. The Canes need
That's
a
more
second line
much
center.
more so. Yeah.
I get
The
that
Canes need
portion
it.
of it. The only problem I have with it is Tage Thompson didn't have his breakout season until he was 26 years old or 25 years old. Svechnikov isn't even 25 years old yet. So we're getting a player that didn't actually make a real impact. I'll read over his career stats. He had, so here we go. 2017, 2018, 41 games played, 9 points. 2018, 2019, 65 games played, 12 points. He didn't play basically.
Where was he playing?
So St. Louis his
Louis.
first season, then
Okay.
Buffalo the rest of them.
Okay.
38 games played, 14 points. 78 games played, 68 points. And then 78 games played, 94 points. That was his big year. And then 71 games played last year, 56 points. And in 31, he's got 27 right now.
On a horrible Buffalo team.
Are they
man.
really horrible or are they mismanaged? Because they have a
you
ton of
watched them
offensive
play?
pressure. Yeah, they score
They
a
are
shit ton
horrible,
of goals.
bro. They're horrible.
They score
They're
a
so
shit ton of
bad.
goals. They can't keep the puck
They
out
did
of their
in the
net.
last 2 games. Yeah, they've had I don't know what's been going on, but they finally been able to score
Because
these last 2 games.
they all they do is score goals. They can't keep the puck out of their net because their defensive zone is so terrible. Hence why
Yeah,
Tage Thompson
their
every
defensemen are
single
not
season
great.
is a -30 plus. I don't need that in my organization. Is
I
he
guess
adding to the problem or is he helping? Yeah, he's
So
getting
I-
a bunch of offense, but he can't keep the damn puck out of his own net.
So I guess my
You
question
get
would
sorry,
be,
one last thing. You
if
got 94 points in a season, you're still a -7. How the hell does that happen? Go ahead.
Because the rest
he's
of the
on
team's
Buffalo.
terrible.
I get
'Cause the
it,
rest
but
of the team's
you're
horrible.
not any
Anyway.
better.
Anyway, so you're telling me if you were the GM of Carolina and Kevin Adams came to you and said, "I want Svechnikov, I'll give you Tage Thompson, 1-for-1
I'm
contract swap."
Still, I'm
Would
taking
you
that.
take it?
I'm taking that
Okay,
deal right
that's
now.
all- that's
I
all I'm
agree
saying.
with you in that regard.
Yeah.
But when you said it's going to be Svetch, Drury, and a couple picks, I'm like, that's asinine. I don't think he's
that's
worth
what
that
that's what
much.
Kevin's gonna want.
That's what Kevin's going to want. I'm not saying
100%.
that's what they should do,
Okay,
but you're
okay,
telling me like what
gotcha.
realistically are they going to ask for?
Okay.
That's what they're going to ask.
Yes,
Yeah.
He's going
fair
to want the
enough.
farm.
Fair enough.
Like,
I'll
That's what
give
he's
you
gonna
that.
want.
Yes, fair enough. All right, let's wrap this up and we'll talk about Carolina's week ahead real quick, and then we'll get out of your hair. So Tuesday they have Columbus. Tuesday they're in Columbus. Thursday they're in Florida, and then Saturday Minnesota, and Sunday will be Pittsburgh. But we'll probably record before the Pittsburgh game, so we'll just talk about the Columbus, Florida, and Minnesota game. I feel like the week's going to hinge solely off of this Columbus game. Is it just me that thinks if we lose to Columbus, I feel like we might lose all 3?
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I think in Columbus just seems to have our number. They play well. They're playing well right now. So they're playing well in every aspect of the ice. And I got, guys that come in, they got that big Russian kid in the middle. He just makes plays and he's not quick, not fast, but man, he's always in the right spot. And then you got Marchenko, who's just an animal. I wish, he's a bigger, I don't know if I don't want to classify him with Svetch, but he's a big version, maybe a bigger version of a Svechnikov. Maybe not as skilled, but he's just a bigger version of
Oh,
him,
he's got
and
like 40 something points this year. He's
I
on
know,
fire.
but he's also but they're limited on scoring, so they don't have depth scoring. So all their big guys are being their big guys, and that's what they need out of him. But I think he's he's one that always seems to play well against us. So, but 100% agree, because if you come out of that with a poor performance, you don't want to come back to the next game being at Florida. It's going to be a tough road to hoe if you don't come in with some level of confidence. So I agree. Columbus is an important game for us, even though it is only Columbus. But it's going to hinge, on how we play defensively and how we play in net. So I'm assuming the kids are going to get the start, but you never know.
I was gonna say, do you play Kochetkov all 3 games, and then Pitt is Tokarski's on Sunday?
He probably will play them all 3 games.
Yeah, so it'll be Kochetkov in Columbus, Florida, and Minnesota, and then because our back-to-back this weekend is home and home. So we're
Correct.
or not
Yeah, we're at
and
home for both.
Yeah, we're at home for
Minnesota,
both.
Pittsburgh.
Yep. So
Yep.
that is at least a positive. I feel like if you have a back-to-back and you're not actually traveling during the back-to-back, it makes it significantly easier to play both of those games.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's going to be a tough one. Minnesota's good. I mean, they're a good team.
No,
so
we got, honestly,
they got another second line center I'd love to have too. Eriksson Ek.
Joel Eriksson Ek. Yeah, that's a guy I'd give.
Dude,
that's a guy
I'd give
too. Yep.
Sorry, I'm not gonna. I'll go off for 10 minutes on tangents about teams that have second line centers. Anyway,
Minnesota's good though. They're not giving up anything. They're not a seller.
They're very good.
So you have to look at teams that would be sellers in order to look at that. But I honestly think that this is 3 really good hockey teams. Columbus is playing really good hockey. They're getting goaltending out of Merzlikins right now. They're getting, maybe the offense isn't coming as much as they would like, but they're also getting a really good defensive effort from their team every single night. So they're in games constantly. It's not the same Columbus team of the years of past where it's, oh, we got Columbus. Okay, cool. It might be, they might score 6, but we could put 8 past them. Like it's going to be a kind of a cakewalk. I don't feel like that.
Yeah.
That's the same situation we're in anymore with them.
Who's the coach? Is it Dean Evanson?
It is Dean Evanson, yeah.
Okay, so he's the old Minnesota guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I really like Dean Evanson. I think he's a good coach.
Actually, he's an ex Hartford Whaler. Did you guys know that?
I did not know that. No.
Yeah, Dean Evanson. He's in the history books for the Whalers. Yeah, so he came from our organization.
Nice.
Well,
yeah. He learned a lot apparently. But no, I genuinely, I even thought in Minnesota, and even Bill Guerin has said this on account. He's like, I feel like he got a bad rap with him having to get fired. It was either kind of Bill going or him going. He's like, I'm not gonna fire myself. So,
like, yeah,
I'm gonna try and make a change where I
can.
The way
it goes, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look in New York. It's probably not going to be Drury going, who probably needs to be going. It's going to be Laviolette. So
Laviolette's going to get the boot here soon. I'm surprised it hasn't happened.
I said last week, and I thought I was a genius. I was like, it's going to happen because they got trounced like 5-1.
Yeah. I mean, you were saying that in Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
You were like, they're gonna, and we're a month on. He's still there somehow.
It's crazy.
So are all the players. To be fair.
Well, not all of them. Kako got dealt. I thought Kreider was getting dealt when he got sat, but
I thought he was too. I thought it was going to be one of those where 12:02 hits on Saturday morning and he's out of here somewhere. I don't know, but listen, I mean, we could go on and on about that dumpster fire in New York, but they set themselves up for it. That's what happens when you sell the farm to try and go win a cup.
When your team is really not ready for
it. And this is what we thought would happen.
That's why I don't think
they just locked up Shesterkin. Thank you, Chris Drury.
Carolina should not make any moves because I just don't think this is our full window open. So
yeah, I don't think so either.
Yeah, I don't think they will,
unless it's a real good, like we can get a Pacioretty for future considerations, OG future considerations, something like that, where we just can somehow finesse a team out of it. Then maybe, but like I want to get rid of any of our prospects. Maybe a roster player here or there, but outside of that, I like where our team's at.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, like you said, they're just. I don't think it's a cup team this year. I've said this for God since we started this podcast, but the 22-23 Canes that was the team that should have gone to the Cup final. That got swept by Florida in the conference final. That was the team. If Svetch didn't get hurt, you never know what happens. But yeah, that was the team. So I think it's a retool year. I think obviously next year they got a lot of young prospects coming in, but as far as this year, yeah, I wouldn't give up absolutely everything to, you know, acquire whoever it may be in a trade deadline for possibly only a rental.
Yeah.
You know,
Maybe some
so
draft picks, but outside of that,
maybe.
yeah.
Yeah, but outside of that, don't give up a whole
The
lot.
only
'cause,
reason
you
I
know,
say draft picks is because we do have good prospects in the pipeline. So it's like, you can afford to not have as many
for
draft
the
picks
next,
for the next
2 or 3
yeah.
years, if you really just want to, go all in, you can.
Yeah.
You know, it wouldn't kill you because you have, like you said, we have a ton of
We
good
have so many good
prospects, so-
prospects. It's like we have
Yeah.
a pipeline already built up. The issue you want to make sure that happens is you don't run into what Pittsburgh did, where they just did that for 15 years, and now all of a sudden they have no prospects, they have no draft picks, they have no young players in their lineup. They're like 38
Yeah, they
years
got
old,
what
all
they
of
got.
them. Yeah, it's just like you got what you got
Yup.
basically for that. That's the
And
thing.
Vegas does that too.
Pittsburgh could be bad for a long time here coming up. Like I'm
It's
talking
gonna
like
be
a
a
15,
conversation.
20 year stretch of just not being a
Yeah.
good team.
Once Crosby retires, it's all over for them. It looks like.
Well, they probably will get a couple first round draft picks, and then they'll get hooked up with another Sidney Crosby, and yeah,
You never know.
never know. But all right, that is where we'll leave it here. So thank you for listening again. Please do like, subscribe, anything you can do that always helps us. If you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please, I think it's subscribed to both of those as well too. I'm not sure, but just try and help us out wherever you can. It allows us to produce and make more content. So thank you, and we will see you guys next week.